Finland has been crowned the happiest country in the world for the 8th year in a row. Strong social networks, high income, and a healthy lifestyle are just some of the reasons. So has Finland cracked the code to everlasting happiness? Hello and welcome to Roundtable. I'm Enda Brady. Now, it's a concept people often wonder about. What is happiness? Well, according to the latest World Happiness Report, Finland seems to have the answers, with both the US and the UK having slipped down the rankings. So, what can other nations learn from the Finns?
For the 8th year in a row, Finland is the happiest place on earth. The World's Happiness Report has ranked the Nordic country top after taking into account factors such as economic growth, social ties, life expectancy, freedom and levels of corruption. Finland is known for its strong welfare system, high levels of social trust and focus on work-life balance. Plus, the Finns have a unique concept called sisu, meaning tenacity, resilience and courage in the face of adversity.
We are for now a welfare state, and that we have quite strong equality here.
I think money does have a role to play in a happy life. That if you don't have money, it does affect your happiness.
I have had the opportunities to do what I want. I have a good education. I can raise my child in here quite safely, I think. So that is maybe the most important thing for me right now.
Finland was followed closely by other Nordic countries, Denmark, Iceland and Sweden, with Costa Rica and Mexico making it into the top 10 for the first time. The US has declined to its lowest ever ranking to 24th place because of political polarization with the rise of Trump. And the UK dropped to 23rd due to economic pressures and a weakened sense of community. It appears social connections is one of the key ingredients to happiness, but with more people only interacting online, how can more countries be happy?
Well, let's meet our happy guests on this one. Joining us from Helsinki, we have Joel Willans. He is author of the best-selling books, Very Finnish Problems. Also in Helsinki, we have Elisabet Lahti. She is behavioural scientist and author of Gentle Power, Revolution and How We Think, Lead and Succeed using the Finnish art of sisu. And in Bakewell in England, we have Jason Todd, who is a happiness coach. You're all very welcome to this very happy roundtable, guys. Elisabet, first to you. Why are you Finns so very, very content in your life?
Yeah, the answer to that question takes us back to our body. We like to often make things very complicated and find philosophical answers to these questions, but it seems to go down to the fact that we have a sense of basic security here because of the social structures that we have created, and because how the human mind has been wired through evolution is that our number one thing we need to feel is that we're not under a threat. So I've lived abroad for 15 years and I returned home a couple of years ago. And just a sense of if something happens, I know there is a network and a system that will catch me. So talk about a reality, a way of living that gives you a sense of being relaxed, because we never know what happens. And especially right now, we're living a really uncertain time. In addition to the social structures, I would want to bring up nature. Most Finns live within a walking distance from a forest, or at least a beautiful park. And so being able to go into that, and how science shows us that when we are near greenery, forests, that calms our nervous system. And a calm nervous system is a relaxed nervous system and is most likely to feel a sense of happiness, or we like to call it contentment here in Finland, actually, maybe more than happiness. We always get a bit confused about this whole happiness idea.
Joel, to you, you're an Englishman living in Finland. What can we be learning from the Finns?
Yeah, well, I think all those elements that are mentioned, I mean, it's definitely the case that this is a I haven't really considered the security element, but it's actually certainly the case that the society looks after you, and you don't need to worry about, losing your house if you get ill, and to an extent we have that in the UK as well. But yeah, overall, I think the idea of loving nature, being a more concerned about the well-being of others. Yeah, and also the sense that in Finland it's very much it's more collective rather than in the UK. For a long time it's been promotion of individualism, and I think you can really see the difference in that, in the sense that here people are a lot easier, a lot happier to help each other, and even though they're not openly sort of as friendly as in the UK, there's a lot less small talk. There's definitely the case that you can rely on your neighbours or on other people, and yeah, the security thing I hadn't really considered, but I think absolutely that is a really crucial and foundational point that's been well made.
Jason, to you, my dad says that in life you get more with honey than you ever will with vinegar. It's a good Irish expression. Surely happiness is a mindset. It's a choice. It's how you choose to be.
100%. And it does come down to choice, and it does come down to, it requires effort. It requires us to do some things. And you've already touched on with Elisabet, the sort of, sometimes we have to step outside of our comfort zone to do this. We're not hardwired to be happy. We're hardwired to see threats and danger that have been around for a long time. And a situation that supports your dad's comment, actually, was a speed camera experiment that was done in Stockholm back in 2010. And they called it speed camera lottery. And they had this issue with folks going too fast, averaging out at 32 kilometers an hour. And they wanted to reduce it down to the 30 kilometers an hour. And they thought, how do we do this? And they tried the fining thing and I guess giving out points. But the way that was most successful was they told everyone, drive down the road at the speed limit or below. We're going to record your details. We're going to hold on to those details. And in 3 days' time, we're going to do a bit of a lottery. And those that are at or below will win some money. Of course, anybody that's over that speed limit is going to be fined. So the fine money was used to reward the people that were driving sensibly, and it reduced 32 kilometres down to 25 kilometres, with just under 25,000 cars going through it. So yeah, making it fun really helps as well.
Elisabet, to you, the top 4 places in the global index of happiness, it's all your neighbours. So clearly something's going very right in life in the Nordic countries in Scandinavia.
Yes, it looks like so. And what brings us all together is actually this idea of, I would say it goes to a little bit some kind of a simplicity as well. It's easy to make things very complex. And when we have a lot of complexity in our life, that can increase the sense of anxiety. So I would bring it back a little bit again to the idea of nature and the welfare society with us, in the Nordic countries.
Joel, to you, your home country, the United Kingdom, down to 23rd, slipping year on year. Give me your observations about life in the UK then, when you come back, any differences you notice between your Finnish existence and what used to be your life in London?
I mean, I love coming back to the UK. Actually, the longer I've been in Finland, the more I've actually missed the UK, which is somewhat bizarre. But I mean, I'm originally from Suffolk, so when I go back to the countryside, and I mean, Suffolk's a beautiful part of the world, so it's very relaxed and chilled out. So I don't really see it being less happy. I know things have been challenging for a lot of the Western world in the last few years. And where I live in Helsinki, I'm very blessed. I live by the sea. I live surrounded by parks, so it feels like I sort of live in the countryside in the city. Yeah, I don't get a sense of like the despair and the I don't know how far down they've gone in the rankings. And when you look at the rankings, the differences are quite minuscule. But so maybe it's not as pointed as the rankings suggest. Certainly to me, of course I go there more to holiday, see family and friends. So maybe I don't have a totally objective view. But yeah, I mean the things we just talked already about.
Jason, to you, I want to talk just about the United States. How much can we believe these kind of surveys and indices when you've got a country as big as America? You could be living in California by a beach and feeling very happy and connected to nature, or you could be somewhere that's really struggling like West Virginia with not a huge amount of employment prospects. I mean, does geography matter where you are in a country?
I think access to nature, we've touched on this. I'm blessed. I live in a national park. It's absolutely fantastic. Where Joel comes from, Suffolk, there's some great coasts. I'm sure not just the US, you can go around the UK and find how what's going on around you can make a difference. But I think it's also the skill set that you carry within you. I'm sure there's folks in West Virginia that are having a good time. And it's often the people that aren't sort of living this Monday to Friday autopilot life who can put the brakes on what they're doing and start to appreciate what's going on around them. And being involved in a community, this contentedness that we've spoken about, it's very easy to sit and moan and go, it's not perfect where I am, but very few people will actually make the effort to be involved in the community and to make the change. So I think it's the individual's choice of how they get involved will determine as much as where they are.
Elisabet, how important is trust in Finnish society? And I mention it because I was listening to the radio the other day. They had a Finnish journalist on, and she said that she had ordered a new fridge freezer, and the guys were coming to fit it, but she had to go out for work. And she gave them the keys, and when she came home that evening, not only was it fitted in and working and switched on, the delivery guys had actually unpacked her groceries and put it all away for her.
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful story. You know, and that does actually happen. We do that. And just think of the social glue of trust that we are able to lean in on each other in moments, how that actually enables us to be creative. It allows us to fit difficult things into our daily lives. Just a practical example, you know, either she would have had to stay there and waiting and worrying, having her sympathetic nervous system activated, which is this fight or flight. Instead of that, she was able to approach that situation from a place of her parasympathetic nervous system, which is that rest and dialogue. So what you are describing here is two different worlds, the world of distrust and the world of trust. And everyone here can bring ourselves to moments where we have experienced either and how it creates a totally different human experience and a way of connecting or not connecting. Yeah.
Joel, your observations on trust in Finnish society then, have you been struck that they're very trusting people?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a famous, I think I can't remember, some magazine did a famous survey where they dropped loads of wallets in various cities. I think it might have been mentioned in this year's Happiness survey, and Finland came out top for the most wallets returned. I mean, I've lost a bag with my laptop on the train, and this was quite early on in my moving here, and yeah, I was astonished to discover it came back. Of course, when I, as I say, lived in London before moving here, it would have definitely not have come back. So there's definitely that sense, and it sort of permeates everything. So yeah, you experience that in many different ways, which is nice. And I mean, I've been here long enough, I sort of take it for granted, but now you mention it, it's very, very key, I think.
Jason, give me your observations then on a country like the UK. What can people in Britain be doing to perhaps feel a little bit happier?
I think probably the biggest thing is slow down. When you can, pause, reset, and appreciate what is going on around you. And also maybe not, we've touched on trust, not becoming what we despise. We're all saying, oh, is the UK a great place to trust people? And if I lost my wallet, would it be returned? Make sure you're the folks that do return wallets. Make sure that you're the person that does go the extra mile. Do these things. If you want to lift yourself, do something good for someone else. There was a recent survey, I think a kindness experiment, Sussex University, 60,000 people. And one of the great things about that is that you don't have to be rushing around doing acts of kindness all of the time for everybody else. You get an actual real buzz and a real lift of just observing other people doing it. So starting to look for other people doing good things is going to give your well-being a lift. So if it's too much effort for you, go and observe others do it. Go out of your way to make the effort. Look for the good stuff.
Elisabet, talk to me about work culture in Finland. What's it like in your workplace? Do you have a lot of work from home going on? Just what is it about life in Finland that really kind of pushes you guys to the top every year?
I think it's that because we have such a high level of trust. So a lot of people work from home, so we get to choose how we want to fit that, which means that we're able to create the kind of work-life balance that feels good. And I think also for the communication, and I would even bring this Finnish concept of sisu, which is this inner strength that we have. But as a cultural concept, sisu also means to do what you say you will do and to follow through. So if we have a company culture that's based on sisu, of doing the best you can, that means you can trust your colleague to also pull their weight, which then means that it's distributed and there's usually less, disharmony, which then allows us to be more creative and actually get to, do the things we want. I mean, this is just one. It's a very complex topic to really dive into.
Joel, your books are called Very Finnish Problems. Give me a couple of Finnish problems then. It can't all be utopia in Finland.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not. I mean, the problems are sort of tongue-in-cheek, and they're often a reflection upon things that are actually good. But I mean, for example, when summer is only 15 minutes, or when winter seems to be never-ending. I mean, a lot of my stuff is focused on weather, which that's I don't know how. That's the thing about the happiness report itself. I mean, this comes out typically in, I think, just recently, March. And March in Finland can be a bit hit and miss. I mean, today it's been gloriously sunny, but there's a concept called takatalvi, which is basically back winter, which means that just as spring has arrived and you're celebrating, you're stripping yourself of the 13 layers of different clothes you wear to go outside, then you wake up in the morning and there's been a massive snowstorm, it's -10 and you're back to where you started. So it's a bit sort of Narnia-esque, where the never-ending winter that goes on and on and on. But the flip side of that is that in the summer, when the sun does come out, it's just like everyone actually is very stereotypically happy, smiling, skipping, and it's super intense. So I think, we haven't really touched upon weather. I mean, you talked about it for the Virginia thing, but ultimately, I think that is there's the extremes of emotion are really reflected in the extremes of temperature and conditions. It can be -35 in Finland and it can be +35. So there's not many places on earth where you get that extremities.
Jason, do you think that's an issue then, that maybe if they did this survey at a different time of the year, when the weather is better in some countries and worse in others, that maybe the Finns wouldn't be top?
I think it's going to be a very fine window because, as I'm sure you know yourself in the UK, like today, beautiful sunny day, give it a week of this and it's going to be too hot for a lot of folks. I think we flip around. Yes, weather definitely has a bearing on it. But I think the things that you observe on a day like today when it's sunny and the flowers are coming out and the birds are singing, if you can notice those when the days aren't so great as well, then that will have an impact.
Elisabet, to you, if there's people watching and they're thinking, how can I be happier in my life? What can I be doing? Give us a few little pointers.
Well, the first thing is, of course, to come visit Finland or move here. But if that is not an option, I like to think of how to bring our attention to our environments. And with our environments, I also, I mean the environment around you, how you create a chance for yourself to have these moments to pause, as it was mentioned, very important, to slow down. Because when we slow down with even just taking a deep, long breath or going to nature, we're able to come to that more restful place of a dialogue. And in that place, we're able to tap into the wisdom. We all kind of know what we're supposed to be doing, but we're too busy to remember that. But then also kind of the inner environment that we have, to pay attention to what we are thinking, to even, I'm saying this radical thing, to learn to choose our thoughts, because they all create, again, a different kind of environment for us. So I don't believe so much in just pure willpower, but how to craft our inner and outer environment so that we're likely to succeed and make good decisions.
Joel, to you, I notice in the list Costa Rica and Mexico have shot up in terms of their happiness index. People there clearly enjoying their lives. Do you think a lot of that is to do with weather, diet, culture? What's going on in those countries? I mean, from a distance looking in, are you surprised that...
Well, I've been to Costa Rica and Mexico, and I lived in Peru for a while, so I'm quite lucky to experience this culture. And I could completely understand why they would shoot. I mean, Costa Rica is beautiful. It's very different to Finland, but it has, it's lots of lush rainforests. There's lots of people living in close to nature. It's got beautiful beaches. It's got constant sort of sunlight and stuff. It's quite a chilled out, relaxed. Certainly outside the city, it's quite a chilled out, relaxed environment. So yeah, I'm not surprised by that. And I think also talking about the weather, it's not even really strict to the weather. It's more light actually. Like here we have like a machine which you probably won't get in many other places. It's like a sun lamp. I get the biggest sun lamp possible, which you literally plug it in the morning, switch it on, and just sit in front of it because there's so much darkness. So yeah, I mean, my very basic theory here is Costa Rica, sunny, nature, friendly people, chilled out lifestyle. I'm a bit more surprised about Mexico because Mexico is also beautiful, but it has its challenges, certainly in the cities. So, but yeah, in summary, I think sunshine, beach, jungle, chilled out lifestyle, cocktails have got to be a recipe for happiness success, haven't they?
Jason, what's it going to take for Finland to be knocked off top spot? I mean, every year when this survey comes round, the Finns are smiling at us, as Elisabet has been. They've got a great life. What's going to have to change for other countries to catch up?
I think one thing that's really evident from everything Elisabet said is that ownership that the Finnish people take on. So how do we knock them off? Do we really want to? Is that the world we want to create where we're knocking people off? Do we not just want to put ourselves up and make ourselves a little bit more equal? And an example being of how it's the individual as much as it's the environment. I used to live in the southeast, not far out of London, and we had busy lives. We were bouncing around, doing all the stuff, sort of surging forwards, trying to make a name and make some cash. And we moved up to this little village in the Peak District, and we've had a complete change in lifestyle. Initially, we were running around going, it's super friendly where we live now. But reflecting after 5 years of being here, I think it's us that became super friendly as well. We became open to things. So maybe we can get closer to them by opening ourselves up, by appreciating what we already have and making the effort, rather than moaning about how everyone else is becoming more like the person we want it to be and be the person you want to meet. And maybe that will get us closer to them rather than look to push them off.
Elisabet, what do you make of English guys like Joel who have fallen in love with your country, your people, your culture, and, making an amazing life in Finland?
Oh, I'm so happy you're here. It goes back to the previous answer that it's very important that we learn to look at each other as in that we're each other's teachers. That we also as Finns, we need people to come here and teach us certain things, being a little bit more relaxed, being more open. Each culture and nationality, we have our strengths and then also our developmental parts. So I think when we bring all of that together, and also from the World Happiness data, is at best we can look what's working in different parts, and together we'll have that puzzle, how we can create a more flourishing humanity for all of us.
Joel, to you, have you noticed that do Finns do more exercise than other countries you've seen? I mean, are they a very active, fit nation?
They are very active. They are so active, in fact, they even have a week called Ski Week or Ski Break, where like the whole country just basically goes skiing, which when I first arrived was a terrible shock because unpredictably enough, I'm rubbish at skiing and was literally the most rubbish person on the slope, to the extent that when I went up on a child slope and fell off, I looked up to see a circle of like blonde children staring down at me, unable to fathom how an adult could be so terrible, until I opened my mouth with an English swear word and they went, England alone me, which is like, Englishman. So yeah, I was rubbish. They were brilliant, and it's taken me some time to get brilliant. But in short, you always see people skiing, cross-country skiing, walking, swimming. I mean, you can literally look outside and go to the park and people skiing in the park. So it's a very active country. I think it ranks actually almost top three or four for the most sports hours done by the population.
Jason, just as we near the end of the conversation, a few themes that have really jumped out us on this round table. Nature, connections, society, security. I mean, our politicians, our leaders need to be tapping into what the Finns are doing, don't they?
100%. It's consistent that we keep learning that getting outside, being in nature is so powerful. There's a lot of research coming around about nature deficit disorder, how the move from a rural environment to an urban environment is impacting the ability to educate children, the ability for children to take information in, how your recovery time in a hospital is boosted if you've got a bed by a window. So yes, but I come back to the previous point. whilst we can look at the politicians, what can we do ourselves? Could we get off the train to stop early and walk a little bit, get off the bus and walk a bit, do something at the weekend, do something with our kids, encourage kids to walk to and from school. So rather than looking externally for answers, maybe look at internally at what we could do. But 100% connectedness, nature, community, these are all keys. So let's create them, let's get involved with them rather than expecting someone else to do it for us.
Elisabet, final question to you, very easy one. What's the Finnish word for happiness?
Oi, it's one of my favorite words, actually. It's beautiful. It is onnellisuus.
Say it again.
Onnellisuus.
Onnellisuus.
Yeah, doesn't it roll nicely?
Onnellisuus. Well, we wish you onnellisuus, and to you, Joel, as well, and Jason, thank you all so much for your insights on happiness. And remember, you can see more discussion and debate on our YouTube channel. Just search for Roundtable TRT World. But for now, from me, Enda Brady, and a very happy Roundtable team, goodbye, and thank you for watching.